By the grace of God, most of her features favor mine. Her eyes, that deep chocolate brown, they're the giveaway. But you'd have to know what to look for. Cece's are blue and Carolyn's are hazel. I always said Anne got her great-grandfather's eyes, because their dark hue in the few black and white photographs of him is suggestive enough. My grandfather, my mother's father, died young, when I was still a baby. And since I have no idea what color the man's eyes really were, it's possible that inherited trait is legitimately from him and not proof of my indiscretion. And while it's not obvious year-round, as soon as Anne gets in the sun, she tans practically before your eyes, which neither of her sisters does nearly as quickly. What would it mean, I wonder, when I lie in bed staring at the ceiling at 2 o'clock in the morning because of the steroids? If Hutch knew he had another child. There's no question that Graham is as much Anne's father as he is Cece's and Carolyn's. But I wish I could know if there will ever come a time when Anne learns that she is Peter Hutchinson's daughter. If that happens, I'll have no control over the aftermath. I can only hope that if the truth ever comes out, my family's anger won't fester and take on a life of its own. More than that, I pray that they never question how fiercely I loved my husband and our lives together and the family we created. I made a mistake. But just as I knew I would never leave Graham, I always knew I would keep the baby, my Anne, as well as keep the truth from my husband, who I never meant to hurt. But during that time with Hutch, when I loved both men, I had so desperately needed to be seen. I felt invisible behind the curtains of marriage and motherhood, and Hutch had seen me the way no one else had that, not even Graham. And I was terrified he would leave me, not for the infidelity, which I would have begged him to forgive me for, and I could have imagined he would over time, but for having another man's baby. Although our marriage wasn't perfect, it had endured. But I couldn't imagine it remaining intact through a transgression that ruinous. And I wouldn't have been able to bear subjecting my child to the rejection and resentment that surely Graham would have felt toward her, even if he denied it, or tried to convince me that he didn't feel such things, and to masquerade as someone who didn't.